Friends, welcome back to Dennis Simplifies. In this video, we are going to be using one of the repayment methods to fully pay our loans in C++. First, algorithm, and then second, the code. So, let's simplify. When one takes a loan, there are a number of repayment methods that one can adapt to pay the loan within a reasonable time. One of such methods is to use the formula where where RP is the monthly repayment amount, A is the amount borrowed, R is the monthly interest rate, and N is the number of months the loan is to be paid back. Write a computer solution that can be used to calculate and display the monthly repayment until the loan is fully paid back. Your input should be the amount borrowed, the annual interest rate, and the number of years the loan is to be paid back. The output should have the following layout. The algorithm. So you have to take the amount borrowed from the user as an input. We take the annual interest rate, and then we take the number of years as well. So we take all these as inputs. Now, because we'll be calculating in months, we want to know the number of months. So we convert the years to months by multiplying it by 12. Then again, we took the annual interest rate from the user, but we will actually be using the monthly interest rate. So we convert the annual interest rate to monthly interest rate, which will be the annual divided by 12, and we get a monthly interest rate. Now with this, let's print out this table, with the first column being the month, the second column being the repayment, and then the last being the balance outstanding. Now I'm going to set I to be 1. Now as you go along, I'll explain why this is, or you'll also find out why this is. Now I'm going to create an empty variable called repayment. Now this repayment is going to contain the repayments the user is going to make every single month. Now it's going to store the repayments the user is going to be making every month. Now since the user hasn't paid anything yet, we make it empty, right? So we set it to 0. Now since the user hasn't paid anything yet, it means that the outstanding balance, or the balance outstanding, is equal to the amount the user borrowed, because the user hasn't paid anything yet. So what is left for you to pay is just equal to the amount you borrowed from me. So if you take 5 cedis from me and you haven't paid anything yet, then it means that you owe me exactly the 5 cedis. So you have to pay exactly the 5. So you see the outstanding balance is equal to the amount borrowed, because the user hasn't paid anything yet now. All right. Now let's take note that I here equal to 1. Let's move to the next slide. And then now we are going to say that while the balance outstanding is greater than 0. Now we know from the question that write a computer solution that can be used to calculate and display the monthly repayment until the loan is fully paid back. Now we know that when the loan is fully paid back, that means the balance outstanding is supposed to be 0. So while the balance outstanding is greater than 0, right, we want to calculate the repayment using the formula. We've been given the formula. The RP is equal to the AR multiplying 1 plus R, this formula here. So you're going to say that the repayment plus equals the formula here. Now, the only difference in the formula here is N, which I made I. Remember in the previous slide, I said I is equal to 1. So when the loop is running for the first time, I will be 1. And this I is for the month. Now you can see that I said plus equals, meaning anytime every month the user makes a payment, I want to add that payment to the previous payment the user made. Now after adding it to the previous, or after taking the payment the user made or adding it to the previous one, what I'm going to do is that I am going to subtract this payment the user made from the amount that the user borrowed, so that I can know the balance outstanding, that is what is left for the user to pay. So I'll say balance outstanding is equal to the amount borrowed minus the repayment. So anytime the user makes a repayment, I'll add that up and subtract it from the amount that the user borrowed, so that I can get the remaining that is left for the user to pay. Then I'm going to write print I, leave a space, and then the repayment, and then leave another space. We know that we started I from 1. So I, under the month column, we should print 1. Then you should leave a space and then print the amount that the user has paid now, the repayment, then leave another space. Now I'm saying that as it's print, if the balance that the user has to pay is less than 0, that is, if the user pays even more than what he or she borrowed, like the user is too rich to even pay more than what he or she borrowed, then we should just print that you just print zero. We know that when you pay more, whether you pay more or you pay exactly the amount, you have still finished paying. So you should just print zero. Else, you should print the balance outstanding. So just print whatever value is over there. Then we should move to the next line. That is, after printing the balance outstanding, you should move to the next line on the next column, on the next row, sorry. Then NF. Now I plus plus. You know we are starting the month from 1. So the first month. Now after you move to the next line, you should start the next month from 2. You know I was month 1. So from 1 we move to 2 and then N while. So this loop should continue running until the balance outstanding becomes a number that is 0 or less. So we know the condition is that the balance outstanding should be greater than 0. So it should keep running. The moment it becomes 0, it should stop, meaning the user has finished paying the loan he or she borrowed. Now let's convert this to code in C++. So I included the CMAT library because I'll be using the power function because of the formula that was given for the repayment. Then I also included the IO manip because the values you'll be inputting will be very huge, that the computer will be converting them to scientific notation, and we don't want that. So I'm using the IO manip so that it will convert the values to actual values we understand, or values that are more recognizable. So I declared my doubles and I also declared the integers, and I initialized the repayment to be 0 and that I to be also 1. You know, we are starting the I for the month. Then I take the input from the user, the amount borrowed, the annual interest rate, and then the years. Then I convert the years to months and the annual interest rate to monthly interest rate. Then I say see out show point, set precision, end line. Now this show point means that when the computer converts the actual value to scientific notation, it should change to a point value. So as the name tells, show point, it should display it as a decimal. It should show a point, right? The mantissa. Then it should set the precision to 5, meaning to 5 place values. If you set that number to 5 places, like 5 place values, then we are printing out the table, which is the month, the repayment, and the balance outstanding, which will be for the columns. Then because the user hasn't paid anything yet, we said that the amount that the user borrowed is just the same as the amount that the user is supposed to pay because he hasn't paid anything yet now. Then now we said that while the balance is greater than 0, we should be computing and at the same time printing out all the values until the user fully pays the loan. Then after that, we end the program with system pulse is greater than 0, which will ensure that only the needed information is displayed when we run our code, and then return 0 by custom. So let's input some values and see how it goes. So enter the amount borrowed. I said I'm borrowing it 10,000 Ghana cedis at an annual interest rate of very small 2%. And then the number of years I think I can pay the loan is in 1 year. I can pay the loan within a year. So using the formula, I press enter and this is what we have. Even though I'm saying I can finish the loan within a year, according to the formula, I can actually finish the loan within 7 months. And by the 7th month, I'll be done. There will be no balance again. I would have fully paid my loan. And then you can see that the repayment here is 11,660. But the amount I borrowed is 10,000. This is because the previous month, which is the 6th month, I still owed 6 Ghana cedis. That is why I still have to pay the full amount for the next month before I can get a balance of 0. And when I pay the next amount, you know that we are going to have a negative number for the balance outstanding. And whether you pay more than the actual value or exact value, you have still finished paying. That is why we have the balance here still to be 0 and not a negative number. Alright friends, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Till then, party.